especially the next two medevacs, you're going to catch up to the benchmark of where you want to be. But again, I guess you have two choices. You can either overproduce SCVs on one base and then use them to fight, or you can stop production, which is what you did, which is perfectly fine, or you can throw down your expo. So most people prefer to throw down their expo, but what you did, stopping at 29, is perfectly fine. It's good. What you want to avoid is just overproducing SCVs and then leaving them idle. So this is really cool. I like what you did with this build, but remember, the benchmark at 10 minutes is 3,500, and you're right on 3,500, so that's great. That's really good. I like this build. It could be a little bit better. I've managed to get about a 4,000 sized army when I do this sort of one base hard all in as best as I possibly can. Especially if you cut workers at 30, you can really get up to 4K army size. But 3.5K army size is amazing, and you did a great job with that, and I like it. You're starting your expo as well. In general, when I say I can hit 4K, I mean I can hit 4K with an expo, with a second command center. But you know, the earlier you build the expo, the more likely it is to have paid for itself by the time you get to 10 minutes. Anyway, this drop is pretty freaking deadly. Do you have stim? It's really important to recognize how well medevacs and stim synergize, right? Because medevacs have all this energy, but when they try to heal in a fight, they're only going to heal what gets damaged. And in general, in a fight, there's only 2 or 3 units taking damage at any given time. See, like right now, this is the only unit that's taking damage. So you've got 3 medevacs not doing anything. And now this is the only unit taking damage, so you've got 3 medevacs just not doing anything. And now there's 2 units taking damage, so you've got 2 idle medevacs. And so if you had stim, all 4 of your medevacs could be healing at the same time. So it's really important whenever you're going to do a medevac drop to get stim. And yeah, anyway. Not surprisingly, against somebody who only spent $2,000 on army, you took about double his army size and dropped it right in his base, so he died. But you got to be cautious about taking this as a huge victory and saying, wow, this was a great strategy, because it is a great strategy. It's a really good strategy, and you did it well. But you won because of this army size differential. Your opponent sucked. He didn't build enough units. It's 12 minutes into the game and he only made $2,300 in army. So you're gonna beat anyone who makes that mistake, but there's not a, you know, in the Masters League, for example, there's not a lot of people who are gonna make it to 12 minutes with only a $2,400 army. So good job. This game drags out, but it's basically over at this point. I like the build, I like what you're trying to do, and I think you did it well. You know, I mentioned some things you can change. This is another thing. When you make an expo, the second it's done, before you make any SCVs at it, make it into an orbital. Because again, an orbital effectively buys you $20 every 17 seconds for the rest of the game. So, over just producing SCVs. So especially your second and third bases, when you already have max SCV saturation and an additional SCV is hardly helping you at all, an orbital is helping you a ton. So yeah, always prioritize orbital over more SCVs. You did well keeping your energy down on your command center. That's a problem some people have, not dropping enough dookies. Not reinforcing your attack is another thing you should be concerned about. What I would like to see is when you move out with this drop, take 1 Marine, drop this supply depot, and attack straight from your base to his base with 1 Marine. And then do your drop, and if your drop goes well, look, is that Marine still alive? Like, send him to here, don't send him all the way into the back. And if he's still alive, re-rally all your bases to here, grab all the troops in your base and send them to here. And then go back to watching your drop. And that way, by sending the Marine first, you know you're not going to accidentally lose your army in the middle of the field. And by rallying to his base, you get to keep growing your army. Because a big problem with drop play like this is that you'll notice that your total army size right now is 5,000, but of that 5,000, you've only got I don't know, 8 Marauders, 7 Marauders, so 700, 800, 900, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, about 1,500 at his base. So that's a tiny fraction of your army that's actually in his base. And so a lot of times, if your army was the same size as his army, the fact that you only have a tiny fraction of your army in one place means that he can locally gain local superiority and just crush this force, even though you have a bigger army than him. If it's not all in the battle, it doesn't count. So reinforcements is a big deal. Be sure to reinforce next time. Anyway, good job. There's a lot of things you can do to improve this, but it's a good general framework.